the two best friends. Amanda and Ebere were born in the same small village. Their mothers were close friends, so the two girls grew up like sisters. From the time they were little, they ate together, played together, and even slept in the same bed sometimes. Everyone in the village knew them as the twins that are not twins. They were always seen side by side. But though they loved each other, something was different about them. Ebere was the lucky one. Everything she touched seemed to turn out well. Amanda, on the other hand, was not so lucky. Whenever the girls went to the farm with their mothers, Ebere always found the biggest yams or the fattest cassava roots. Amanda would dig and dig, only to find small ones or nothing at all. When they played village games with the other children, Ebere would win almost every time. If there was a prize, Ebere would take it home smiling. Amanda would clap and laugh on the outside, but inside her heart, she sometimes wished she could be the lucky one too. As they grew older, their mother started giving them trays of goods to hawk in the village. Ebere's goods always finished first. She would return home early with her money neatly tied in a wrapper. Amanda would walk from house to house, shouting herself hoarse, but still return late with half her goods unsold. Villagers even started saying, "If you want to buy good things, buy from Ebere. Her hands are blessed." Amanda smiled when she heard those words, but deep down, they stung like pepper. Despite everything, the two girls stayed close. They bathed in the stream together, sang under the moonlight, and dreamed of the future. They promised each other that no matter what happened, they would rise together, help each other, and never separate. But the seed of jealousy had already been planted in Amanda's heart. She did not water it with love. She kept it quietly, deep inside, waiting for the day it would grow into something big. When Amanda and Ebere became teenagers, they both started secondary school in the nearby town. Every morning, they tied their books in small polythene bags and walked the long dusty road together. They laughed and told stories as they went. Sometimes, when the sun was too hot, they rested under mango trees, plucking fallen fruits and eating them with joy. They were poor, but their friendship made life sweet. In school, Ebere's luck still showed itself. She understood her lessons easily. When teachers asked questions, her hand was always the first to rise, and her answers were correct. Amanda struggled. She read late into the night, sometimes with a tiny lantern, but when exams came, her results were not always good. People began to say, "Ebere is a child of grace." Amanda hated hearing it, though she smiled in front of people. The years passed quickly, and soon it was time for their WAEC exams. The whole village prayed for them, hoping at least one would pass and make the community proud. On the day the results came out, the girls ran to the notice board with other students. Ebere screamed with joy. She had passed all her subjects with flying colors. Amanda's hands shook as she searched for her number. Tears filled her eyes when she saw that she had failed 2 important subjects. Not long after, Ebere received even bigger news. She had been offered a scholarship to study in one of the best universities in the country. Amanda managed to get admission into her second choice, a polytechnic in the nearby town. Everyone celebrated Ebere like a queen. Songs were composed for her in the village square, and neighbors brought gifts of yam and palm wine to her father. Amanda stood beside her, clapping, but inside, her heart was burning with fire. That night, as the village slept, Amanda lay awake on her mat. She stared at the ceiling, her chest tight. She whispered into the darkness, "Why must it always be Ebere? Why not me for once?" And at that moment, the seed of jealousy inside her began to grow stronger, whispering dangerous thoughts into her heart. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Ebere's home was full of joy as she prepared for university. Her father slaughtered a goat and invited neighbors to celebrate. Women danced and sang praises, shouting, "Our daughter is going to the city. She will make us proud." Amanda was there, smiling and clapping her hands. But inside, she felt invisible. Nobody sang for her. Nobody noticed her. Even her own mother whispered sadly, "Amanda, try harder. Don't you see your friend's star is shining?" In school, Amanda pretended everything was fine. She hugged Ebere, laughed with her, and promised to visit her in the university. But whenever she was alone, tears filled her eyes. She could not understand why life was always favoring Ebere. Even when they hawked goods together, Ebere's tray got lighter first. When they played games, Ebere always won. And now, in education, the same story repeated itself. Amanda's heart grew heavy with bitterness. The breaking point came one evening when they sat under the mango tree, talking about the future. Ebere spoke with excitement. "Amanda, when I finish school, I will work in a big company. I will buy you gifts, and we will travel to many places together." Amanda smiled, but her teeth clenched tightly. To her, those words sounded like mockery. She thought, so she believes she will rise so high while I remain down here. That night, Amanda could not sleep. Her mind was filled with dark thoughts. Slowly, Amanda's love for her best friend started turning into envy. She stopped feeling happy for Ebere's success. Instead, she began to think of ways to bring her down. At first, the thoughts scared her. She asked herself, "How can I do such a thing to my friend?" But the more she compared their lives, the more the envy grew. Those words cut Amanda like a sharp knife. In the quiet of the night, as the crickets chirped outside and the moon cast shadows on her wall, Amanda whispered to herself, "If Ebere must shine, then her light must not be brighter than mine. I will find a way to dim it." That was the moment Amanda's jealousy crossed into dangerous territory. Amanda's jealousy was like fire burning inside her chest. The more she saw Ebere celebrated, the more the fire spread. She no longer saw her friend's laughter as sweet, it sounded like insult. She no longer saw her friend's dreams as beautiful, they felt like mockery. Amanda started to believe that the only way to have peace was to bring Ebere down. One afternoon, while walking through the market, Amanda met a young man called Chike. He was known in the town as a smooth talker, a man who could easily lure young girls with sweet words. Amanda remembered hearing stories about how he had broken many hearts, but instead of staying away, she saw an opportunity. She greeted him with a fake smile, and soon, they started talking. After a few meetings, Amanda told Chike about Ebere. She described her as the lucky star of the village, the one who got a scholarship and was about to shine brighter than everyone else. Amanda pretended to be joking when she said, if only someone could make her fall before she rises too high. But Chike understood the hidden message. He smiled slyly and said, "Leave that to me." Amanda's heart pounded. She knew what she was suggesting was evil, but envy had blinded her. She convinced herself it was fair. Why should only Ebere enjoy life while I suffer, she thought. She imagined Ebere losing everything, and for the first time in weeks, she slept peacefully. From that day, Amanda began to secretly push Ebere toward Chike. She praised him in front of her friend, saying, "Ebere, that young man likes you. Can't you see how handsome and caring he is?" At first, Ebere laughed it off, saying she had no time for such things. But Amanda was patient, always planting small seeds in her heart. Slowly, without knowing, Ebere was being led toward the trap that would change her life forever. Chike began showing up often, just as Amanda had planned. He pretended to be gentle, respectful, and caring. Whenever he saw Ebere, he smiled sweetly and spoke words that melted her heart. At first, Ebere resisted. She told him, "I need to focus on my studies. My father trusts me. I don't want distractions." But Chike was patient. He knew how to wait. With Amanda secretly encouraging her, saying things like, "Ebere, you deserve love too. Don't be too hard on yourself," Ebere's guard slowly started to fall. Weeks turned into months, and before long, Ebere agreed to meet Chike more often. They would sit under the big almond tree at the edge of the village, talking for hours. Chike always came with small gifts, biscuits, a new scarf, even perfume. Ebere had never been treated like that before. She began to think maybe this was real love. Amanda watched from afar, hiding her wicked smile. One evening, Chike invited Ebere to a small party in town. He told her it was just for close friends. Amanda encouraged her, saying, "Go now, you study too much. Enjoy small before school swallows you." Ebere hesitated but later agreed. That night, she wore her best dress and followed Chike. At the party, music blasted, people laughed, and drinks flowed freely. Ebere took a drink from Chike's hand, not knowing he had laced it with something dangerous. Moments later, her head began to spin. The room blurred, and her body grew weak. She tried to speak, but her voice failed. Chike carried her into a dark corner, pretending to help. By morning, Ebere woke up in confusion, her clothes scattered, her heart heavy. She didn't remember everything, but deep inside, she knew something bad had happened. Days later, her worst fear came true: she missed her monthly flow. She was pregnant. When Ebere discovered she was pregnant, her world turned upside down. She sat on her bed for hours, shaking, tears streaming down her face. She thought of her scholarship, her dreams, her father's proud smile the day he told the villagers she would be the first graduate in the family. Now everything seemed to slip from her hands like sand. She cried until her eyes turned red. News travels fast in the village. Within days, whispers began. Women at the stream started talking behind her back. Is it true? Ebere, the lucky one, is carrying a child without a husband. The shame grew heavier with each passing day. Her father, a man of strong principles, could not bear it. He looked at her with disappointment in his eyes and said, "You have disgraced this family. Pack your things and leave my house." Those words broke Ebere's spirit. With nowhere else to go, Ebere carried her small bag and walked to the nearby city to live with her aunt. Her aunt accepted her with pity, but life there was not easy. She worked in a small shop, sweeping floors and washing clothes, while her belly grew bigger each day. Sometimes, she cried herself to sleep, thinking of the life she lost. She remembered Amanda and wondered why her best friend no longer visited or even asked about her. She didn't know Amanda was the very one who pushed her into the trap. Months later, Ebere gave birth to a baby girl. Holding the child in her arms, she felt a mix of love and sorrow. The baby's innocent face gave her comfort, but deep inside, she knew her dreams were gone. While her mates were in classrooms chasing degrees, she was changing diapers and rocking a crying child. And far away in the village, Amanda heard the news with secret joy. She smiled to herself, whispering, "At last, she has fallen. Now we are equal." But Amanda didn't know that fate had its own way of turning tables. Life with her aunt was tough, and Ebere often felt trapped. She loved her baby, but the constant crying, the sleepless nights, and the heavy weight of responsibility made her feel older than her age. She sometimes looked into the mirror and barely recognized herself. The once bright, cheerful Ebere was now a tired young mother with eyes full of sadness. One afternoon, as she sat outside the small kiosk where she worked, a young woman named Jessica walked up to her. Jessica was flashy, confident, and full of life. She wore short dresses, high heels, and heavy makeup that made people turn their heads when she passed. She noticed Ebere's quiet nature and started a conversation. "You are too young to look this sad," Jessica said with a laugh. "Come with me, I'll show you how to enjoy life." At first, Ebere refused. She thought of her baby and her responsibilities. But Jessica was persistent. She visited often, bringing small gifts and telling stories of nightclubs, fun, and easy money. Slowly, she became the friend Ebere leaned on. Jessica encouraged her to leave her child with her aunt sometimes and come out to have small fun. Against her better judgment, Ebere agreed one night. The club was loud, with flashing lights and music that shook the walls. For the first time in months, Ebere felt alive. Men complimented her, drinks flowed, and laughter filled the air. She forgot her troubles for a moment, dancing like she was free. But after that night, the taste of that freedom stayed in her mouth. Soon, one outing turned into two, then into many. Ebere began leaving her baby more often, chasing nightlife with Jessica. She told herself it was harmless, but deep down, she knew she was sleeping. The girl who once dreamed of becoming a graduate was slowly drowning in a life she never imagined. Ebere's life slowly changed. What began as an escape became a habit. Night after night, she followed Jessica to clubs, bars, and parties. At first, she told herself she was just enjoying life a little before going back to focus on her child. But the truth was different. She was already being pulled into a world that didn't want to let her go. Her aunt grew tired of her behavior. "Ebere, you are forgetting your child," she scolded. "Is this how you want to live your life?" But Ebere, blinded by the sweet taste of nightlife, ignored the warnings. She left her little girl crying at home, running into the arms of strangers who showered her with drinks, money, and attention. Each time she looked at her daughter's innocent face, guilt stabbed her heart, but she pushed it aside. Jessica became her closest companion. Together they laughed, danced, and drowned their sorrows in alcohol. But unlike Jessica, who seemed hardened and unbothered, Ebere often felt empty when the music stopped. She would return home, remove her high heels, and cry silently, asking herself, "How did I end up here?" Yet, the next night, she still followed Jessica again. In the city, people began to whisper about Ebere. "Is that not the girl who once won a scholarship? What is she doing in clubs every night?" Those whispers hurt, but she tried to hide behind laughter and makeup. She no longer looked like the village's shining star, she was becoming a shadow of herself. But destiny has strange ways of bringing people back together. One night, after many months of clubbing, Ebere entered a high-class lounge with Jessica. The lights were bright, the music soft, and the crowd different. As she scanned the room, her eyes fell on a familiar face. Sitting at one of the tables, dressed elegantly, was Amanda, her old best friend. Their eyes locked, and time seemed to stop. The moment Ebere saw Amanda, her heart jumped. Memories of their childhood rushed back, their laughter at the stream, the nights under the moon, the promise to rise together. For a second, she almost smiled. But then, reality returned. She remembered her shame, her downfall, and the baby she left at home. She quickly looked away, hoping Amanda hadn't seen her. But Amanda had seen her. Amanda rose from her chair, tall and confident, her gown glittering under the light. She walked slowly across the lounge, her heels clicking against the floor. When she reached Ebere, she gave a cold smile. "Ebere," she said softly, "long time." Her voice was calm, but her eyes carried something sharp, something hidden. Ebere forced a weak smile. "Amanda, it's been a while." Her voice trembled. Her voice trembled. She wanted to explain, to say she wasn't always like this, that life had pushed her into this corner. But the words stuck in her throat. Jessica, sensing the tension, excused herself, leaving the two former friends alone. Amanda's gaze swept over Ebere, from her tired eyes to the short dress she wore. She leaned closer and whispered, "So this is where life has brought you." The village star, now shining in clubs. Her words were sweet like honey but stung like acid. Ebere's eyes filled with tears. She opened her mouth but only managed to say, things happened. Inside, Amanda's heart danced with satisfaction. This was the moment she had imagined, the moment she had dreamed about, seeing Ebere fall. But as she stood there, watching the broken girl in front of her, something unexpected stirred inside her. For the first time, she began to wonder if she had gone too far, if her envy had destroyed not just her friend, but a part of herself too. Amanda and Ebere sat at a corner table, the music in the background fading into silence in their ears. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Ebere's tears rolled freely, her hands trembling as she tried to wipe them away. Amanda sat still, her face calm, but her heart was a storm. Finally, Ebere spoke, her voice breaking. "Amanda, I don't know where I lost my way. I had dreams, you know. I wanted to make my father proud. But now, look at me, carrying shame, living in clubs, forgetting my own child." She buried her face in her palms and sobbed. Her words pierced Amanda like arrows. She wanted to smile in triumph, but instead, guilt rose like a heavy wave. Amanda looked down, her hands tightening around her glass. She remembered every moment, the whispers she planted, the lies she told, the way she pushed Ebere toward check. She had wanted this downfall, but seeing it in reality was not sweet. It was bitter, heavy, and painful. She whispered under her breath, "Maybe this is my fault." Ebere looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" But Amanda quickly shook her head, hiding her secret. She was not ready to confess. Instead, she forced a smile and said, "You can still change, Ebere. You don't have to remain here. Go back to your child. Start again." Her words sounded kind, but inside, Amanda was battling her conscience. That night, when Ebere returned home, she held her daughter close and wept. She promised herself she would try to rebuild, no matter how hard. Amanda, on the other hand, walked out of the lounge with her head high, but her heart was heavy. She had gotten what she wanted, Ebere was broken, but the victory tasted like ashes. And so, two best friends who once dreamed of rising together were now standing on opposite sides of fate, one fighting to climb back from the ruins, and the other living with the secret of betrayal that would haunt her forever.